On the news, Nigeria contemplates new measures to treat COVID-19 patients as toll continues to surge. Labour Union opposes move to retrench workers as the world marks International Labour Day. And South Africa relaxes COVID-19 lockdown after 5 weeks. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. COVID-19 patients may soon start receiving treatment at home due to the shortage of bed spaces at isolation centers. Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Chikwe Ihekwazu, during the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing on Thursday, said the government is considering the option of treating patients at home following the rising number of cases in the country. Ihekwazu said there was bed space shortages, especially in Lagos and partly in Abuja and Kano, where the cases were high. Since the start of this week, Nigeria has been recording cases in the hundreds, with the highest single rise yet coming in at 204 on Thursday. In a late-night tweet, the agency said the national toll now stands at 1,932, with the number of recovered persons rising to 319. The number of casualties also increased to 58, following the death of 7 more patients. The federal government has released new guidelines for the new phase of containment of COVID-19 from May 4th to May 17th, 2020. Party guidelines, which were signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated that without anyone without a face mask in public will be prosecuted. The guidelines were also specific about information to the general public, guidance to state and security agencies, and description of activities allowed under the new phase. The new advisory also retained the ban on all passenger flights, with religious gatherings also restricted. For interstate travel in public transport, the guideline recommended a maximum 50% of usual occupancy, while taxis were ordered to carry only 4 persons, including the driver. Of the 204 COVID-19 cases that were reported in Nigeria on Thursday, Kano State had the highest number, 80 new infections. Despite the growing number of cases in the state, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje is appealing for an urgent ease of the 14-day lockdown imposed by the federal government. President Muhammadu Buhari had on Monday ordered a total lockdown in the northwestern state amid reports of strange deaths that the government said was related to the COVID-19 pandemic. But just 3 days after the lockdown took effect, Governor Ganduje says it has brought increased hardship on the people. Ganduje has now urged that state government relax the lockdown for a while in order to ease the hardship in the state, especially in the holy month of Ramadan. The number of health workers infected with the COVID-19 pandemic has risen from 40 to 113 in the past 7 days. Minister of Health Osage Hanire announced this on Thursday during the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing on Thursday. He said the affected workers from public and private health facilities have been isolated and are receiving treatment. To control further spread of the infection, Hanire again advised health workers to desist from treating coronavirus patients without the use of personal protective equipment. 34 Nigerian states and the Federal Capital Territory have reported at least 1 confirmed COVID-19 case since February 2020. Meanwhile, the Northern Elders Forum NEF says some state governments are playing politics with COVID-19 to get funds from the federal government. In a statement on Thursday, Ango Abdullahi, NEF chairman, said while the country needs in a period is good policies that would protect citizens Abdullahi said donations given to Nigeria should be used judiciously and promptly, adding that there is need for the country to develop a policy on how to respond to disease. The federal government has been providing states affected by the pandemic cash and medical equipment. The Plateau State government has banned all movement within the state in order to curb the community spread of COVID-19. In his address on Thursday, Governor Simola Long said the move is part of his administration's efforts in tackling the virus following the only confirmed case in the state. The governor noted that ban on movement from local government to local government in the state, as well as ban on all entry and exit points in the state, is in continuation of total lockdown imposed on residents. Long, however, noted that the 3-day window permitted by the state government will enable citizens to restock their homes ahead of the continuation of the lockdown on Sunday midnight. As Nigeria marks the International Workers' Day, labor leaders in the country are demanding job security and improved welfare for the nation's workforce. This year's Workers' Day comes amid the ravaging coronavirus pandemic, which has halted economic activities and is threatening millions of jobs. There's more in this report.
This year's International Labour Day is probably the first to be celebrated without solidarity rallies to demand better welfare for workers in Nigeria, no thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. With the commemoration coming days to the reopening of Nigeria's economy after a month of relative lockdown, the Nigeria Labour Congress is demanding that government continue to support workers' needs.
The essence of palliative is very crucial, that peradventure you ease the economy gradually. We know it is not over. Therefore, palliative measures should still continue, because the effect of this 1-month lockdown on people cannot be revived with 1 day opening of economy. And therefore, the poor remain poorer even at that resumption, because you are resuming the economy, in quote, with the top in power. When people, directors are going to resume in ministries, it means the average are still at home. And when you tell a driver to carry 2 passengers at the back, 1 in front, you did not tell the driver that you give them subsidy for fuel. And so, but the same distance they cover, don't forget the number of passengers attribute to the income they get per trip. So all of these directives they are giving calls for subsidy.
While the economy is set to be reopened, not everyone will be going back to work. In a viral video, the managing director of Access Bank announced plans to cut salaries and retrench staff as measures to recover from the losses caused by the pandemic.
We certainly don't need all the security men. We don't need all the tea girls. We don't need all the cleaners. We don't need all the tellers, etc., etc.
Reacting to the video, Amechi says companies should adopt other alternatives to check losses.
Inasmuch we want to protect the vulnerable, the worst case that will happen to the Nigerian economy is to make the workers also vulnerable. So it means everything at that time will be in disarray. And for me, we must do everything possible to avert that very call, where employers have spoken that they have even foreseen that they can do away with a lot of workers and maintain their work. That is not a good vision.
The COVID-19 pandemic has crashed global oil markets and crippled major economies, but the NLC is advocating for more focus on the positives.
Despite how deadly this pandemic, this virus may look like, there are opportunities with it. COVID-19 pandemic has given a lot of workers the opportunity to enhance their study, and we want to see workers who will resume work stronger and better, because this 1-month lockdown has actually given majority of them opportunity to have enhanced their knowledge.
The theme of this year's Labour Day is celebrating a workplace without COVID-19. To achieve this, the NLC has charged both workers and employers to adhere to the recommended prevention measures to ensure the curve of the virus is flattened. Fidele Aguncha, TV360, Lagos.
The disbursement of a 50 billion naira targeted credit facility by the Central Bank of Nigeria to businesses and individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic has commenced. The disbursement is being handled by National Microfinance Bank. Managing Director of the bank, Abubakar Kure, inaugurated the disbursement of the funds on Thursday in Abuja. He said a total of 3,256 individuals and businesses that were affected by the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic would benefit under the first tranche of the fund disbursement. As of April 14, over 80,000 applications had been received from businesses and individuals for the 50 billion naira credit facility. South Africa has begun easing some of its coronavirus restrictions after 5 weeks of lockdown. Some businesses will be allowed to reopen, restaurants can deliver food, and families will be allowed to leave home to exercise. But the government will deploy more troops on the streets and impose an overnight curfew. 5 weeks ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered most citizens to remain indoors and shuttered all but essential businesses. But Africa's most advanced economy was in a recession even before the pandemic, and the shutdown has threatened to send already rampant unemployment soaring. The country has over 5,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases, of which more than 2,000 have recovered. Paris Saint-Germain has been named Ligue 1 champions after France's Football League declared the coronavirus season over. PSG led the table by 12 points from Marseille when the season was suspended in mid-March because of the COVID-19 outbreak, which has gone on to kill over 24,000 people in France. The announcement by the LFP comes after Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said on Tuesday that professional sports leagues, notably football, cannot restart because of the pandemic. France became the biggest European league yet to end this season, just as its neighbors in England, Germany, Italy and Spain considers ways of resuming matches. We'll take a break here and return shortly. Do stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
The Imo State Commissioner for Health, Damaris Osunkwo, says at least 2 persons have died, 14 persons have been rescued, and over 25 still trapped when an 8-story uncompleted building collapsed in Owerri, Imo State on Thursday evening. It's believed that over 40 persons were in the building at the time of the collapse. Police spokesperson in the state, Orlando Ikoku, said that the police were working with the state government officials and personnel of the Nigeria Red Cross to rescue those trapped in the rubble. The defense headquarters says they have killed several Boko Haram terrorists and destroyed their facilities at Parisu in the Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. Coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, said the operation was carried out by Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole on Thursday. Enenche said the airstrike and ground operation was executed after intelligence reports revealed that the terrorists had resumed use of the settlement as a staging area to launch attacks against nearby troops' locations. Enenche also repeated the commitment of the armed forces of Nigeria to ridding the nation of who he described as enemies of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari has extended the tenure of the Keme Pondi-led Interim Management Committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. According to the communique by the President's Special Aide, Femi Additional. The extension is to cover the period of the forensic audits of the NDDC, earlier approved by the Federal Executive Council. The committee's tenure has now been extended from May 1st to December 31st, 2020. President Buhari equally has also approved the sum of 6,250 million naira for the NDDC to provide COVID-19 intervention support in the 9 states of the Niger Delta region. The United States Department of Justice says it will retrieve any parts of the repatriated Abacha loot that is improperly diverted. In a letter signed to Chairman of the State's Committee on Finance, Charles Grassley, the Assistant Attorney General, David Boyd, said the repatriation of $311.8 million was done based on certain conditions. He explained that the agreements directs that the returned funds be used exclusively for ongoing crucial infrastructure projects in Nigeria. The letter adds that if the funds are expended on ineligible expenditure, Nigeria will be obligated to fully replace the diverted sum. You're still watching News Now. We'll be right back.
Shegun.
Alpha, say tomorrow still day on.
What's your tomorrow?
Community meeting now.
You know they here, Abi?
Now beggy. See, if we meet for my house, inside parlor, then go no.
This COVID-19 is not a child's play.
If you want to elect a new secretary, we fit to
do one for WhatsApp, or for Skype, or even on Zoom. Or we just wait.
I will not negotiate
this social distancing. It is non-negotiable.
Not every infected person shows symptoms, but every infected person is contagious. Avoid large gatherings and self-isolate if you think you might have come in contact with a carrier. Your safety and the safety of others is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur.
On TV360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dullards that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that band.
TV360, providing clarity to issues.
You're welcome back. Here's Fidelia Aguncha with Business Stories.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has revised the deadline for compliance with the minimum capital requirements for microfinance banks in Nigeria. The banking regulator communicated this in a circular entitled Review of Minimum Capital Requirements for Microfinance Banks in Nigeria. Part of the circular read that microfinancial banks operating in rural, unbanked and underbanked areas shall meet the 35 million naira capital threshold by April 2021 and the 50 million naira by April 2020. It adds that microfinance banks operating in urban and high-density bank areas are expected to meet the 100 million capital threshold by April 2021 and the 200 million naira by April 2022. Before the Apex Bank commenced the recapitalization of the microfinance institutions in 2018, the minimum capital base for national microfinance banks was 2 billion naira. State microfinance banks had 100 million naira, while the unit microfinance banks had a minimum capital requirement of 20 million naira. Oil rose further above $26 a barrel on Friday as OPEC and its allies embarked on record output cuts to tackle a supply glut due to the coronavirus crisis that has been weighing on the market. Brent for July had climbed 14 cents to $26.62 a barrel, while U.S. crude for June added $1.18 to reach $20.02 a barrel. Brent rose 12% and U.S. crude gained 25%. The global oil benchmark Brent crude has fallen almost 60% in 2020 and hit a 21-year low last month as a pandemic squeezed demand, while OPEC and other producers pumped at will before reaching the new supply deal that kicked in on Friday. And that is from the world of business. It's now back to Annetta Felix.
Thanks for that business update. Moving on, U.S. Democratic candidate Joe Biden has denied sexually assaulting a former staff assistant, Tara Reid, nearly 30 years ago. Denying the allegations during a TV interview on Friday, Biden said, quote, "It's never happened." He asked for a search of the Senate archives for any record of a complaint Reid filed allegedly at the time. Reid made a criminal complaint to police last month, claiming to be a victim of sexual assault. Biden is running against Republican incumbent President Donald Trump, who has been accused of sexually harassing some 25 women. Super Eagles head coach Kano says he will accept a pay cut to continue as Nigeria's coach. He also disclosed that he had responded to the contract proposal from the Nigeria Football Federation. In an interview with ESPN, the 66-year-old says he was ready to accept the new conditions in his contract. Raw has just 2 months left on his contract. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Many thanks for watching.